Hey, what's up, guys? Got another new video for you. This is Tuned In Sports here. My name's Bryson.
Bennett. Steve.
Done. And we've got the Week 13 college football preview here for you for our teams. An exciting week. You know, last week there was a handful of games that ended up getting canceled here due to COVID. But as far as we know, as of right now, everything is good to go. So hopefully that can be the full slate of games this week. So with that being said, let's start off with the Colorado Buffaloes. Got a big game on the road at USC this week.
Yeah, big game. So big that SC wants to catch COVID, and they don't want to play. So this will be 2 weeks in a row. So we have ASU and then now SC. 2 games I think CU could have used to help them with their schedule. But big props to San Diego State. They've said that they are going to play the game up in Folsom Field in Boulder. So they're going to fill in. So kudos to SDSU.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Buffaloes get to play. But again, it'll be at home against the Aztecs. So as we saw with Nevada, just control number 7 and see what you can do with the rest of it, right? So hopefully this should be a pretty good game for CU this weekend.
Yeah, I think the Buffaloes are going to get the win here. They've been looking pretty strong all season, and you know San Diego State just lost to Nevada last week, and I don't look at Nevada as good as the Buffaloes are in terms of overall recruiting and stuff like that. So. I look at this and think that Colorado should win.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that San Diego State will probably give them a game. They're generally a pretty game opponent, so I don't think it's going to be a walkover or a run-through or anything like that. But I'll take the Buffaloes to go ahead and win this game. I think that's pretty likely.
Yeah, the San Diego State should, I think, perform a little bit better maybe this week than they did last week. However, it is short notice. I don't know when the decision was made.
About an hour ago.
So, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think at that point it's coming down to athletes, and Colorado should have the advantage there. So I would agree that they'll probably...
and the weather, too.
Yeah.
In Boulder.
Yeah. Going more altitude.
I just think that, given that alone, it should be a win for the Buffaloes. And plus, they've been playing good. I mean, I think the new coach there is probably a blessing that he came there, truthfully. So I'd look for the Buffaloes to have a win pretty convincingly.
Well, I mean,
they're going to win, or?
I mean, like I said, I was going to pick them over SC, but...
I would have too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Next organization we're going to get into is the Seminoles.
Yeah.
I know Bennett's been itching and very, very excited to get into this one. Who's the Seminoles got this week? They got Virginia.
We're at home.
At home for another nice game.
For a nice blowout. Just
I
don't know.
They're coming off a week off.
Yeah.
So.
Well, if they follow the latest trend, we're gonna get blown out by Virginia. But before I hop into that, I just want to mention something that Davo Swinney said last week that kind of sent me over the rail. He was like, "This game was not canceled because of COVID. COVID was just an excuse to cancel the game. I have no doubt their players wanted to play and would have played. And same with the coaches. To me, the Florida State administration forfeited the game." Well, the way I look at it is, how can you blame somebody for trying to keep themselves from getting COVID? Because I heard that a couple Clemson players had tested positive. So I was... Really? What kind of a stupid remark is that? At least in my opinion. I just look at that and think, well,
I mean, safety should come first.
exactly.
I mean,
So-
I don't really care about. I mean, did Florida State think they're going to beat Clemson coming into the game? Of course not. Dabo Sweeney knew he was going to fucking wipe them off the face of the earth. You know? I mean, let's face it.
Yeah.
I mean, they already knew they were going to blow them out. Florida State knows they're going to get beat. So, I mean, there's no.
Really, is there any reason to play that game? I mean,
mean,
honestly.
I'm just going to take devil's advocate on his part is that he came off with a loss to Notre Dame, right? And this will be the first game with Lawrence back, and he needs to make a statement,
Right.
and he needs to make it, and so that way he can be in the top 4
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever that's with
yeah.
it. So if you can go out and hook a 70 plus on a team, I'm going to do it, right? So that's where I think his motivation is coming from. It's a total just kick in the sand of what happened. Again, it should be safety first, but he's looking at the big picture with the biz, of trying to keep that number 4 spot.
Yeah. Makes sense.
That's exactly what it is. It's nothing other than that.
Yep.
He's looking at like, oh, I need to blow teams out now.
Yep.
And he knew that Florida State was a perfect opportunity to, like you just said, hang 70 on them.
Yep.
And that's what it's about. And whatever. You don't. Bottom line is, don't lose.
Yeah.
You don't lose to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be losing to them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Truthfully,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be losing.
Well, I
to
mean,
Notre
it was
Dame.
a-
So be
yeah.
pissed at yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be pissed at Florida State.
Yeah.
Be pissed at yourself. You fucking blew it, not them.
Yeah. But,
Whatever.
okay, with that being said, though, I say we should probably head on to talking about the game for this week for Florida State.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay.
Have fun.
Yeah, I just had to, voice a little bit of frustration with that whole thing last week happening. But to get into the game against Virginia this week, it's tough to say. I mean, if we, like I said before I started, going on about Clemson, I was like, if we follow the same trend that we have been all season, we're going to get blown out. So, now I don't necessarily think that they'll get blown out this week. I mean, I know Jordan Travis is returning, and that might help things a little bit. But at the end of the day, I still have us losing the game, which just sucks. I mean, like, the sucky thing about it is, back in the day with, Bobby Bowden and some of these other guys, we weren't losing to teams like Virginia. I mean, and now we're looked at as if we're lucky to even win.
You're
win against
the
them.
bye week.
Yeah.
Yeah, now we're looked
You're the
at as a
Virginia.
team that's lucky to get a win against Virginia.
Yeah.
So it's just ridiculous.
The fortunes have totally changed.
Unfortunately, with how this season's going and everything, I don't know if I see it changing. I mean, as far as these next couple seasons, I don't know if we're gonna be better. I mean,
We'll see.
with how everything's going right now, I don't know. I mean, seems like nobody on this team is playing with a lot of heart. They aren't putting out effort out there, I don't think. They aren't really playing to win. If you look at what's happening,
When you look at
I think that would make it pretty evident that ultimately, I don't know if it's that they don't care or they just, are okay with losing, which would mean that they don't care. But still.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I think that they're going to lose, and I'm going to, go with what I know Don is getting ready to say here in a minute, which is common opponents. They've pretty much played a lot of the same teams. The only difference is most of these teams Florida State lost to, and a good portion of them it wasn't even close. And Virginia beat some of them, and we're in more competitive games with the others. So that would suggest to me that this is probably going to be a wash. And I would not be surprised if Florida State gets taken to the cleaners this week. And we have another lovely review Saturday night.
I'm just sick of the bull crap.
Talking about Jordan Travis and the offense and penalties and coaching and all that other stuff.
Yeah, like I said, I don't look at this season especially and think things are going to go upward. I mean, I think it's only going to get worse from here. I mean, especially, looking at some of the opponents we still have. I mean, we rescheduled Clemson. I mean, that's going to be a slaughtering.
Especially now.
And now Virginia. I mean, Virginia this week, that's not going to be easy by any means. And we got Duke, and I don't even think that's a guaranteed win at this point. In fact, I think we could get blown out by them just as easy. So, you know what? F this team. I'm done with this crap.
Yeah, as Bryson pretty much pointed out earlier, yeah, common opponents. They even beat North Carolina too.
Yeah, exactly.
But they actually did play Clemson. So that's what it. But they just look. They're on a 3-game win streak. They were on a 4-game losing streak. So I think Bronco Menenthal's got them kind of back going in the right direction. I don't see him losing this game to him. So I'm gonna take the Hoos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree. Right now, Florida State's just in a mess. They're in a kind of a retool period. You got a brand new coach there this year.
He's
got none of his players are in this, on this team really.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a little bit of time for him to turn it around. I will speak to one thing though that I think is relevant in when Bennett said that it looks like nobody even wants to play and they're not playing with heart. I would agree, and that's not a good sign for the coach because, you don't ever want to lose games anyways, but you definitely don't want to look like you don't care that you're there. Because that's going to fall out of love. You're going to fall out of friendship with the boosters in a hurry if they're seeing that kind of stuff going on. Because then they feel like the players don't respect them, and he can't get the team to play. Then they're going to say, well, you're not the right guy for this job. And then you could be restarting this whole process again. I don't know. The guy did a great job at Memphis prior to coming to Florida State. So I do think the guy knows what he's doing as far as coaching and stuff like that. But again, if you see teams playing uninspired football and acting like it doesn't matter to them if they lose, that's not a nice thing to look at as a fan. And as, I'm sure the boosters and stuff like that are not looking at this situation and clapping their hands at it because they're not seeing the improvements being made or the effort being put forth.
No, and especially getting absolutely clocked almost week to week, just getting plowed by teams that are, not, at least by the record, that much better than you. Yeah. At the time they played Louisville, those two teams had the same record. They both had 1 win on the season at the time they played. So it's like, looking at it, you say, well, that should have been a competitive game, and it never was. And then it was same thing with Pittsburgh, and NC State wasn't pretty either. So,
yeah, honestly, the last time I feel this team actually, played with, some poise was in the North Carolina game. That was the last time I felt like this team actually really cared. And
they almost blew that too.
Well, but they did win it.
Yeah, I know.
So, that kind of just shows you, when they want to win, they can. If, I realize things have to fall their way sometimes. And that damn well did in that North Carolina game.
If you can compete with them, don't tell me you can't compete with Pittsburgh or
Louisville. Exactly.
Louisville or some
That's
of these
what
other
I'm saying.
teams. There's no reason you can't compete.
NC State
to not even be in these games when you should be wiping the floor with these teams usually. It's just, It just tells you the state of the program right now.
Yeah.
And it tells you where the recruiting is at for Florida State. I mean, it's got to be garbage right now.
Yeah.
They're not seeing the caliber of players that they used to see.
And I just don't. I mean, after this season, I don't know if I see that changing any. I mean,
We'll see.
I don't think anybody is going to be like, oh, I'll go play at Florida State when we're getting blown out every week. I mean, I just don't see it happening, unfortunately.
But do you actually think that it's the coach?
I don't know if it's the coach,
I mean,
but
do
I
you
know
actually
damn
think that
well
anybody
something's
would be
going
doing-
on.
Do you think anybody would be doing that well, coaching this team right now?
Probably not.
I mean, truthfully. And I'm asking this as a question to all of us.
No,
No.
I mean, I don't really care who's there.
because QB talent is lacking.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
It's
they
the
just
big
don't
thing.
have the athletes across the board that they usually have. So I don't really think this is an indictment on the coach so much. Now, I'm not going to sit here and suggest that he's doing a wonderful job
No.
because, I mean, getting blown out and stuff like that is not Florida State football. But some of the stuff, he wasn't exactly handed the keys to a Lamborghini here.
Yeah, it's a lot like
looking
Patricia.
more like a Ford Pinto.
It's a lot like
Exactly.
Patricia. He walked
Exactly.
into. It's a lot like Patricia. When he walked in there, he had a lot of work to do. So again.
But we actually had a lot of work to do, unlike the Lions.
Well, no, like I said, he needs to get his kids in there, and once he figures out what kids are there and what he's got, then
Then you can assess him
He
better.
can go from there. But yeah, this year's kind of
Right. I mean,
kind of
and
rough.
the problem is, like we talked about before, is that you just don't have the time.
No.
That by the time he may not ever make it to see his freshmen become seniors, if he
No.
doesn't have immediate success starting next year.
Yep.
I mean,
That's-
he'll get a pass this year, I'm sure, because hey, I don't have any of my players.
Yeah.
And COVID.
But
And then,
but he better
yeah.
win 6 next year.
yeah,
yeah.
no, exactly.
Well,
You better get in a bowl
even,
game. If you don't,
Even Six didn't let Taggart stay.
oh,
I
that was a
mean-
good choice.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, though.
Well, that speaks to what I'm just saying about.
Yeah.
You don't have time to sit there and try to get better. You're gone.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gone. Depending
Okay.
on the school you're at, I mean, unfortunately, Florida State has a rich history,
Yep.
and the boosters and stuff aren't going to understand losing
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
they're seeing it right now.
Yeah. Speaking of unhappy boosters, let's move on to the Alabama game. They're taking on Auburn this week, who has a whole bunch of pissed off fans because once again they're not living up to the expectations that the team set coming into this season. Their quarterback Bo Nix was supposed to come into this year with as a sophomore and light the world on fire, and really the only thing he's done is light up the interception numbers and look like crap. So it's really inconsistent football on the Auburn side. Obviously on the Alabama side, I mean, enough said. Not really a whole lot to say. I think this one will probably be closer than I want it to be, just because it's an in-state rival, and for whatever reason, even when Auburn doesn't have a very good team, it seems like we struggle with them more than we should. And I think that's partly due to the fact that Auburn is one of the better schools in terms of recruiting as well. So, I mean, I think it just really comes down to when you have that many athletes, you're going to be in games. When you got that kind of paycheck and payroll going on, you're going to perform. With that being said, though, I think, obviously Alabama's going to win this one. And then Nick Saban's not going to be there this week. He tested positive for COVID again. So I think Sarkisian, that's who was going to take over last time. He'll probably be taking over again this time. Won't be much of a difference. I think the result will be the same either way. And one thing I will say, though, is I don't know how many games Alabama has left. I think they might have one more after this, but if they don't, and the next game is like the SEC championship or something, I think it's good that they have this game to get a game under their belt before they inevitably have to play Florida, who's looking like a pretty tough out this season. So I'm expecting a win. I say we'll probably win by 24. That would be my guess.
Yeah. I'm just gonna write this and say, Alabama's gonna win another one, and it's really not uncommon for me to say that. Unfortunately, I just, they're just one of those teams that I don't know. I have a sour feeling towards them. Just, I just get tired of them winning all the time. And unfortunately, not going to lie, my team used to do that as well. But I also wasn't alive when my team was winning a lot.
No.
So,
It's all your fault.
yeah,
Nice
yeah,
going.
I was
Nice going.
born for, so therefore we had to trend in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I got Alabama winning.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, this one lines up. I mean, if Auburn's going to have a chance, this is the week, right? Saban's out. Saban's out. And you've got them kind of where you need to go as far as, this is the game. This is a must-win for you. This is a game that you need to be geared up for, right?
Yeah.
If this is the game that you want to play, and if you got with it, but it's not going to be enough. I just totally see Sarkisian just taking the reins over, doing what he needs to do. He's been a head coach before at big schools, so
Yeah.
I don't see him skipping a beat. So yeah, I just see another pasting. Iron Bowl, Bama.
Yeah.
Where's the game?
I think
Bama.
Auburn. Oh, Alabama was that one.
Doesn't matter where it's at.
Yeah,
No, well,
getting their ass kicked up and down the field and then out in the parking lot too.
Exactly.
very well.
A lot of fans riding home in cop cars if it was in Auburn.
Yeah, exactly.
Still could in Alabama, but
Yeah, I don't have a different viewpoint than you guys do, really. I do agree with Don, though. If this is one that we're going to win, this is one they might do it. The coach is probably a little bit on the hot seat as well. They seem to, every other year, seem that he's got his job on the line, and then they end up winning enough games to keep him, and then the next year we're back in the saddle again with, the flames getting higher. I don't think that he can afford to necessarily take a pasting here. So I think the game will be closer maybe than what it should be. I don't know. What's the spread? Anybody know?
25.
25.
oh wow! And I said that I thought it was going to be 24.
Yeah. So, you're probably, pretty accurate. I think they'll probably keep it within the 24 points. But I think, I don't know. I just think, asking to beat Alabama is a tall order. I wish him well, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, unfortunately for the coach of Auburn, it's another one of those situations where the guy wins, 8, 9 games a season, 10 games, has them ranked in the top 25 perennially, pretty much. This year they have been struggling a little bit, but, once again, they're ranked 22 right now with only 2 losses. But, that doesn't cut it for people anymore. Surprisingly, he's one of the few people that actually has at least I think it's at least 500, maybe one below 500 record against Alabama since he's been there. They've beaten Alabama a bunch of times. Well, not a bunch, but still, I think maybe he's been there for like 5 years, and I would say probably the record is 3-2 Bama since he's been there. Which, again, we talk about like with Michigan. Well, it's great that you won 9 games or whatever, but when you lose to Ohio State every year, the people don't want to hear about it. But they're beating the people that the Alabama once in a while, the team that they want you to beat as boosters and stuff because they can't stand them.
Yeah.
They've been doing it. They beat them last year. Again, Tua was out because of injury, so they had a backup. But regardless, what's another 5-star athlete coming in there?
He's the guy starting now for him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he's horrible.
Yeah, he was horrible. He's only up for a Heisman this
yeah.
year. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and move on to the next game, which I believe is Nevada They are on the road at Hawaii this week in a pretty big game for them moving forward because, in the past they haven't always had an easy time playing down there in the Honolulu state. So, what do you guys think about this one?
I'm taking Nevada. They're playing some good football, and quality win against San Diego State last week, and I think they go into Hawaii and get it done.
I think they're better equipped this year to get it done than they have been in the past. I think they got a lot of momentum on their side right now. They're playing good football, solid. The defense just played the best game I've ever watched them play since I've been watching them. The second half last week was,
brutal.
It was a picture-perfect execution of what defense should look like. They spent the majority of the time chasing the quarterback around in the backfield back there, and the running game couldn't do anything. The guy couldn't pass the ball very well. Everybody was just on it.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was a tremendous win, and really should propel them into an opportunity to run the table this year. I don't think they're going to have a conference championship game, right? From what I understand.
I thought they were. I think it's the top two, I thought.
Okay. Well, if they are fortunate enough to get to that point, probably going to end up playing Boise or somebody, but I give them a chance. I do. This is the first time I would actually say that, if they can keep it going. Now, with that being said, we'll probably turn around and stumble here and lose, and all that'll go out the window, and then it'll be another, whatever type of season. But up till this point, though, they've played really well, and the defense is really why, in my opinion. Nevada have always been able to score points, but
yeah, that's never been the issue.
And the defense last week is bar none the best I've ever seen it. It was the second half was, it was amazing.
Felt like you were watching the Lions.
No,
sorry.
Anything but.
No, I'm talking about the Lions' offense.
It was amazing to watch it.
Silver and blue flashbacks.
Every time we turned around, they were sacking the guy or getting a hurried throw or a running game going nowhere. Several tackles in the backfield for losses. Just pressure personified last week, and it was so nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I really think that set them up. And this is a game I really think they should handle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know.
With that being said, will they?
Their past history has not been good here, but I'll say they're going to handle them.
Okay.
I'd say they win.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say the island's tough. Always have problems at that place. I don't know if it's the beaches and the poi or what's going on with it. It's kind of like the Rose Bowl distraction, right? Hey, nice weather, good looking people. Hey, all right, how you doing? And then just get blown out. But maybe with all the COVID situations, maybe things will be a little bit different where they don't have that much free time to get distracted in this game. Again, Hawaii, got destroyed by San Diego State. Of course, it was in San Diego, so that's a road game for them, which is the reverse effect. So they got blown out by that team. And of course, they had the backup quarterback, the guy that hasn't been starting at least last week.
Mm-hmm.
So that team's a different looking team than what they were before. But then just this past week, though, they hung within 8. I think it was not as close as the number was with Boise in Honolulu. So it's going to be a tough game for Nevada, I think. But hopefully they won't have the lapse from the big win last week.
Mm-hmm.
Again, they do have the weapons. They have the running game. And if the defense plays, travels well, should be hopefully a good solid W for the team.
I don't even think. I don't think they've ever had at this point in the season when they played them or whatever. They've been in the position they're in, where this game means something.
Yeah,
literally, it really means something.
Yeah, I was gonna say the last one was the one that the only game that they lost.
Yeah.
On the
record
on the team that went the furthest for us.
Yeah.
With it, this was the only game that Kaepernick lost that season was at Hawaii. So again, it's always a tough place to play with the time differential of later and X, Y, and Z. But yeah, like I said, if they play Wolfpack football, they should be able to win this.
Yeah, I completely agree. You know, I said after the review last week that I thought they were going to run the table up until the conference championship. At least, you know, depends who comes out of that side and, you know, the matchups and everything. But I'm also not saying I'm not counting them out of that either if that ends up being what happens. Which, you know, right now they're in a perfect position for that to be the case because outside of San Jose State, they already beat San Diego State, so they hold the head-to-head over them. So even if they have a lapse, there's a good chance we win our end of the conference, our bracket or whatever you want to call it. Regardless, though, I mean, I really felt that if they won that game last week, that they were going to run the table and have a great shot at not losing a game this season, and I truly believe that's going to be the case. I picked them this week. I believe that they're going to win. Yes, Hawaii in the history has been difficult place to play, so with that being said, I think it's going to be a closer game than it really has a right to be. But like he said, and like we've talked about, I have a little bit more confidence this season because they have a defense, they have weapons on offense. The coach seems to have them playing at a high level. It seems like everybody's bought in to what he's selling, and I just really have a lot of faith in him, which, you know, generally is kind of a weird thing to say because I mean, I was looking at that game against New Mexico or whatever and like, oh, here we go. This is exactly what it usually is. If we get a upset win somewhere, then we get a, you know, surprise loss somewhere else, and we're just the same old Nevada. But I truly believe that they're going to win out on the games on their schedule. Now, like I said, if they win the conference championship, I think, first of all, it has a lot to do with who they're playing, what the weather's going to be like, any of that stuff. We'll see. But I think the games that they have scheduled, they're winning out. This game will be no exception. I'm going to say that it ends up being a 14-point game that Nevada ends up winning. So I think it'll be closer than it probably should be. But, yeah, I think they'll win for sure. All right, last game. Let's get into Michigan. I believe they're taking on Penn State this week, right? Isn't that correct? I think it was Penn State. They got another home game against the only winless team in the Big Ten, I believe. So, what are you thinking?
It's probably going to be another close game. I think McNamara starting this week, right?
Should be. I hope he is.
From what I understand, I mean, if they don't make him the starter, then Harbaugh does need to be fired. I mean, I don't know how many times you can beat your head against the wall before you realize that, hey, the team actually moves the ball with this kid's plan. So, but, I mean, Penn State is off to an unreasonably bad start. They usually are a pretty game football team and usually are in the running for some type of a bowl game or, you know, something. And this year has just not been good to them. However, I could see them getting right against Michigan. The way Michigan's season's gone, I mean, nothing would surprise me. If they walked into Michigan and beat them, I would not be surprised one bit. I hope that's not the case. I'd like to see Michigan get kind of going in the right direction. And I like this Cade McNamara. I think he's a nice quarterback, and this is hopefully the beginning of something good for him. Moving forward. So we'll see what happens. If I have to pick the game, I probably would say I'll go with Michigan at home. Even though, like I said, I think it's a pick 'em. I don't see Michigan dominating them in any way, shape, or form. And I think it'll come down to probably the last, it'll be a close game at the end. Whoever happens to score last or whatever, but I'll say Michigan wins in a tight game.
Yeah, for me, I think I would have to agree. I think Michigan, they're playing some pretty inconsistent football, but I don't look at Penn State and think Michigan should lose to them. I mean, they haven't won a game yet. I mean, there's a reason that they have that bad of a record, and I think Michigan should get the job done here at home.
Yeah, for me, I think it's really going to depend. Here's what I'll say. If McNamara starts, I'm taking Michigan. If they start Joe Milton again, I'm taking Penn State. I really think, last week told you everything you needed to know. What's his nuts started the game. They came out. The offense looked anemic. They looked like they all had Speaking of having COVID, what the hell was that? But the offense looked like they might as well had COVID for how great they looked. They brought in the other kid, and immediately, almost immediately, it was a completely different story. Like, immediately. And, at first drive, boom, touchdown. I mean, so, again, if that didn't tell you what you needed to know, then I don't know what will. If he doesn't start this week, I'm in Dad's camp. Maybe he does need to get fired. If he can't see what's going on here, then I don't know what to tell you.
It makes me wonder why they hadn't played him previously. Like, even going back to last year. I mean,
Chad Henne.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's like,
well, you had
can't beat.
Didn't you have the guy from Texas A&M last year or no?
Yeah. We still have the other guy that, I
With
thought,
the long last name.
I didn't think he was very good. I mean, I always thought Michigan's quarterbacks have been half-assed. McNamara looks like the real deal, though. He looks like he can make all the throws, and he's athletic. I don't understand if they don't start him. I don't understand it.
Yeah,
I mean, this game is a classic game of two teams underachieving to the fullest. I mean, Michigan's not supposed to only have 2 wins or whatever they got.
Yeah, 2 wins
right now. I mean, Michigan was supposed to be contending for the division and maybe
a title,
contending with Ohio State in the championship game or something like that. And it blows my mind to see how bad they are. And that's the same can be said for Penn State. I mean, they're just atrocious compared to what they should be. I mean, 0 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, kudos to Indiana. They're knocking teams off left and right. But come on. You're telling me that they should be beating Michigan and beating Penn State on a normal average basis? No. They shouldn't be on the field with them. So, whatever. Enough said.
Yeah, I think that, again, if Jim knows what the hell he's doing, he should hopefully start McNamara. And I think that gave the squad a little bit of a lift. I think they were down in the dumps with what was happening, and I think this is a good shot in the arm for him. Yeah. He seems to have the moxie and the leadership that's needed on this team. I think it's going to come down to, again, just like what we said before, this is a prime situation for Michigan. This is a thing coming in with a team that hasn't won a game. This is a game that you should win. And I think it's just going to come down to between, is the offense going to perform for Michigan, and can the defense stop the deep passes that they haven't been able to stop all year. So that's going to tell you, what's going to happen in this game. If Michigan's not able to stop the deep pass, it's not going to be happening. But if they're able to stop the deep pass and then let, McNamara do what he seems to do on offense and put a little bit of points on the board, I think Michigan can pull it out. So since Michigan's at home, I'm going to give it to Michigan.
Boom. There we go.
4-0 sweep.
I think too. I think regardless of what ends up happening at the rest of this season, I think Michigan's got to look at replacing that defensive coordinator. I mean, I doubt that Harbaugh's even going to stay after this season, the way things have went. And I'm sure opportunities might come up for him. There's plenty of NFL jobs that are going to be open. Hell, maybe he can just move right up the street and go to Detroit. I actually wouldn't mind that.
Yeah.
I would actually, I would love to have that happen. But I'm just saying, I could see a scenario, where he's out. But if nothing else, they need to get rid of that defensive coordinator. I mean, week after week after week, it's over the middle passes and
Toast.
slant passes. I mean, this guy's got no clue how to defend that.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
he'd be right at home. We saw that today in the Lions game.
I mean, yeah,
Can't cover the deep ball. Hey,
that is exactly why. That's what's happened in every game they've played against Ohio State. The offense hasn't always just. I mean, they haven't played wonderful, but they've been able to put some points on the board. But the problem is they just do slant patterns all day long, and they can't stop them. So, I mean, they just can't stop the scoring. So, I mean, Ohio State's going to come in and score 45 on them. And Michigan doesn't have enough to score with them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's no different this year.
Yeah.
It could be even worse. Well, if McNamara keeps going on the trajectory he's on, Michigan's going to score some points. But we'll see. I mean, it's just very disappointing to see a team that's actually, I haven't really been that displeased with them. Outside of, the fact that the Ohio State games have just not been the way they should be. They haven't been close. And so we haven't really proven that we can even play with them. So that's not a good thing. But, I see a scenario where Harbaugh might just opt out and say call it quits after the season. Because, I mean, he's on the hot seat anyway. Boosters are not happy with the way the team's been playing. And expectations are a joke. Too high, for some reason they think that because, they're Michigan that they should be a championship level team every year. And I don't see it. They're not in a position.
Well, I mean,
They're not in the right part of the country.
I think one thing that I will say though about that is, I think me and Don did a review Actually, I think it was probably last week. We did a review where we talked about Michigan a little bit. And, I'll be honest in saying that when Harbaugh signed over there, my expectations were, championship in a few years as well. So, I mean, I do understand what you're saying about they're probably being set a little bit unrealistic. But, I'm not going to lie and say that I wasn't kind of expecting the same thing. I thought that he was the thing that was going to take them to the next level and they were going to be there. And the only problem that they were going to have was whether or not he actually wants to coach college or if that was just a stepping stone. I did not in any way see a situation where he'd ever be, considered on a hot seat or anything. The only hot seat that he'd be on is, man, that dude's on fire.
Yeah.
What I mean? Just winning every week.
How many jobs does he want?
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's really what I thought when they hired him. I'm like, the only way that this guy is the only question in my mind is not were they going to win. It was, how long does he want to stick around college before he gives the NFL another try? And so, I mean, I've been as surprised as anybody at really kind of how they've performed. Especially this season. I mean, they were ranked, I think, 7th or 8th week 1. So they had really high expectations for the team, and they just haven't came through. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you can put it all on him. I mean, times have changed. We talk about that all the time on this channel. It's not the same glory days that it used to be where you have a couple of teams in each conference that are dominating, and then there's everybody else. I mean, in some ways it is just like that, but the teams at the top aren't the same as what they used to be anymore. So, I don't know. It's really difficult, but I could see Michigan being in kind of a tight spot after this regardless, because I don't know. I just think
all these criticisms wait till he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
And then watch Michigan go back down and win like Brady Hope days when we're winning 4 games a season.
Yep, Rich Rod.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're going to be like, wow, Harbaugh wasn't that bad, was he?
Yeah.
And it's just one of those things. It's a tough job. And, I mean, I would agree. I mean, when
Tough
Harbaugh took the job, I didn't necessarily think we would win a championship, but I thought we would be in the conversation or have a chance to win 1 or 2 while he was here. And just because he's one guy that has a passion for that team. He played there. He understands the fan base. He understands the booster side of things and all that kind of stuff. He understands it. And I truthfully believe that he was the best man for that job. There was not a better coach you could have brought in there if you wanted to see production.
Yeah.
And, due to circumstances,
it hasn't happened.
right, whatever. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only point that I was trying to make is like, even though maybe they were a little bit unrealistic, it's not hard to see why. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and point fingers and say, hey, what the hell were you guys thinking that you were going to a championship when you signed him and all this other stuff, because I was really in that camp. I thought, well, that's not going to be a struggle against Ohio State anymore. And especially since the Michigan State coach left, D'Antoni, I was like, boy, they're going to smoke through them until Michigan State gets another really quality coach. And I mean, I really thought that it was going to be Michigan or Ohio State, Michigan, and everybody else when he signed there. That's truthfully what I thought. Now, Urban Meyer is a great coach in his own right, so I'm not entirely shocked that he did have some issues with him, especially before he got all his guys in there. But, again, and here's the other thing, too, is like we talked about recruiting and stuff. I mean, I really thought that once Jim got his guys in there, that a lot of things were going to be a lot better from a recruiting standpoint. But this is his 3rd season, am I right?
no, it's more than that.
4th, maybe. So, I mean,
Been there a little while now.
well, I'm just saying. I mean, we're talking about how
No,
about Milton and things about how that guy just doesn't have it and stuff, and he keeps putting him out there. But that's somebody that he brought in there. So, I mean, I don't know. It's like,
Well, it's the whole Shea Patterson problem, right? That was the whole issue.
No.
I mean, it was just horrible quarterback play for those several years. But again, it was just good enough to beat everybody else except Ohio State. And
Yeah,
that
you're
was
right.
and that was the problem. Is you ran into Ohio State, and that's the one that you can't lose to.
Yeah.
And then you start running into where it's like, and it's not even like, oh, we almost had that game. It was just like ran off the field.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Every
it was
year.
Just, yeah, and that was the thing that made it, I think, really get ugly. And then also those kids that were trying to outweigh the two, right? Oh, do I want to go to Ohio State or Michigan? Well, that game's telling you, all you need to know, right? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm going to go to Ohio State because I don't want to go to that other school.
Yeah.
Because I'm not winning.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's just tough. But again, like I said, I mean, if Harbaugh ends up losing or leaving, I mean, which I think, regardless, there's a good chance. Because I mean, even if they beat Ohio,
he's been taking a beating.
yeah, and even if they were to beat Ohio State, I think, being in a double overtime game with Rutgers and losing to Indiana, a team that you hadn't lost to in 24, 25 years, whatever, I think there's enough marks that it doesn't really matter at this point. And I think at the end of the day, even if they do say, don't just outright fire him, I think he'd probably say, I don't need this. I'm much better of a coach than you people are giving me credit for here. And hey, so it could be rough for Michigan moving forward. But
well, no, like I said, he's done a great job there. And like he said, what was there before? And it wasn't much,
no.
So again, I mean, who are you going to get pull in off of Notre Dame? is he going to hop ship and go, hey, I'll take this reins over here? You saw what he did at Nevada.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's going to be that type of coach you're going to get, right?
Yeah,
it's going to be somebody off a big program that was either a castaway or who's going to do another, what's his nuts up in the Lions, right? Patricia,
Yeah.
where it was like, oh, somebody else did the work for me, but look at my grades. you know, and then once he gets the spotlight shine on him, he's just going to wilt. So
Yeah, same crap with Jimbo.
yeah, so
Same thing.
We'll see.
You can either be, satisfied with a 10-win season, or,
Pissed off with 4.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think this video has gone on probably long enough. This has been the week 13, I think it is, preview for the college football season. If you like the content, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, all that other happy stuff. You guys know the deal at this point. With that being said, my name's Bryson.
I'm Bennett.
Steve.
done.
See you guys in the
I'm
next
pissed.
video.